Got the tech tonight, 5th of the season.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I got a technical for clapping. So, like, if we should all just go on the calendar now and pick a game that I'm going to be suspended for if I'm going to get technicals for clapping. I asked Gerda. Gerda said that I got a technical for clapping.
Gerda!
So, if any technical should be taken away, it should be that one. If it's truly for clapping, that's what they said they gave it to me for was for clapping. So it's...
That look on her face wasn't just frustration. It was deliberate. Caitlin Clark did something you almost never see from a superstar. She didn't make vague complaints about officiating or blame the refs in general. She looked straight into the cameras and repeated one referee's name 3 separate times. That wasn't an emotional reaction. It was a calculated message. Clark knows exactly where she stands with the league, and by speaking that directly, she's putting the pressure right back on the officials. This wasn't losing control. It was a challenge, and she knew everyone would hear it.
For her comments after the game. Quote, I got a technical for clapping. So we should all just go on the calendar now and pick a game that I'm going to be suspended for if I'm going to get technicals for clapping. I said, okay, then you just don't like competitive basketball, and that's just facts. Now, the thing with Caitlin Clark.
Now listen carefully to what she's pointing out. Clark is sitting on 5 technical fouls this season, meaning she's getting dangerously close to an automatic suspension. According to referee Gerda Lewis, the technical wasn't for arguing or using abusive language. It was reportedly given because Clark clapped her hands after a play. That's why this matters. Under WNBA rules, 7 technical fouls lead to an automatic 1-game suspension and a fine, with additional technicals bringing even more penalties. Clark knows every whistle now carries major consequences, and by publicly questioning this call, she's forcing attention onto how those technicals are being handed out. This wasn't a random complaint. It was a carefully timed statement that puts the spotlight directly on the league.
It's just ridiculous. I don't understand it at all.
So even within that, though, how aware do you have to be of the 8 technical fouls?
I mean, I'm going to play with emotion. I'm going to play with passion. And if they're going to give me a technical foul for clapping, then so be it. That's their choice. And the league can come back and review that play. And I'd love to hear what they say of the reasoning of why I got the technical foul in that situation and why other players on their team didn't get a technical foul in that situation. If anything, split it. Okay, fine. Everybody gets a technical foul. That wasn't how they were handed out. So I'd love to know. But obviously, that's what I went to Gerda and said. I said, why'd you give me a technical foul? She said, because I was clapping and instigating. I said, okay, then you just don't like competitive basketball.
You just don't like competitive basketball. That statement could stick with Gerda Lewis for the rest of the season because Clark wasn't simply arguing one call. She was questioning the officials' ability to handle high-intensity basketball. She also challenged the league to review the play and publicly explain why the technical was issued. That's not something a player says if they believe they were clearly wrong. It's a direct challenge for accountability. What makes it even more significant is Clark's track record. Earlier this season, after receiving a technical for slapping the stanchion in frustration, she admitted, I deserved that one. When she believes she's at fault, she owns it. That's why her strong reaction to this call carries far more weight.
Damn.
And that's just facts. That's just reality. So disappointing from them.
Damn, she made sure we all know her name. Gerda. She made sure we all know Gerda's name moving forward. Gerda. Yeah, why did I get a technical foul and everybody else on the other team didn't get a technical foul? If we're handing out technical fouls for clapping, how come I got a technical and nobody else did? Gerda. Oh, you just don't like competitive basketball then? Oh, okay. Interesting. And then she says, I want the league to review it and get back to me.
Now watch this part closely. The reporter asks whether she'll change her approach to avoid another technical, and Clark's answer is clear, no. She says she'll keep playing with the same passion and emotion, even if that means risking more technical fouls. That's the real message. She's telling the league she's not changing her game. If officials want to suspend one of the league's biggest stars over something like clapping, they'll have to own that decision. And Clark understands the bigger picture. Her games consistently draw huge TV audiences, sell out arenas, and attract national attention. Suspending a player with that level of impact wouldn't just affect one team. It would create headlines across the entire league.
This is the clap that we're talking about. Boom. She sees him. Clap, 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 clap. That's it. That's what you got a technical foul for. Caitlin Clark speaking about Myisha Hines-Allen having her back.
Directly or specific words, but I don't know. I appreciate my having my back. You know, it's nice to have a teammate like that. That's always going to go to.
And there it is, the moment that started the entire controversy. Clark claps a few times while staying in position, and seconds later, she's called for a technical foul. No yelling, no aggressive gestures, just clapping. That's why this call has sparked so much debate. Throughout the season, fans have seen players argue with officials, wave their arms, and show far more emotion without receiving a technical. Clark believes her reaction was treated differently, and that's exactly what she's questioning.
I want the league to review it and get back to me. Let me know why you decided to give me a technical, and hopefully it makes some sense to me. Hopefully the explanation that you give me for getting a technical foul, hopefully that makes sense to me. League. Gerda.
This response also reveals something important. Clark made sure to thank her teammates for having her back during the heated moment. The game had already become physical, emotions were running high, and several players from both teams got involved. Yet Clark ended up with the technical after clapping while others escaped without punishment. That's the issue she's raising. If similar actions are being judged differently depending on the player, it naturally raises questions about consistency. Clark isn't just disputing one call, she's asking for the same standard to be applied to everyone.
Battle for their teammates, and I thought we did a good job of refocusing and trying to.
Yeah, Myisha Hines-Allen, she had her back right there. Myisha had Cece's back, and Sophie had Myisha Hines-Allen's back. I mean, it was nice last night. It was good. It was good. It was different than the JC Sheldon. JC Sheldon, Sophie Cunningham was getting revenge on JC Sheldon. This was actually Myisha Hines-Allen stepping in and saying, "Oh, we ain't doing that, Alyssa Thomas. You ain't the only swole MFer around here. I'm big swole. Shout out to the Pope."
Now here's where the story shifts. Clark openly praised her teammates for standing up for her during the game, while much of the attention afterward focused on her own response. In heated moments, players like Myisha Hines-Allen stepped in to support their teammate when tensions rose on the floor. That matters because it shows the Fever players were willing to back each other during a physical game. Clark made it clear she appreciated that support, reinforcing the idea that the team was looking out for one another when emotions were running high.
I'm big swole around here. You ain't just doing it. I mean, back in the day, look at these two. These two used to jaw at each other. Now they're on the same team. Now these two are on the same team with the biggest star this league has ever seen in life. Pick a network broadcast night so their TV partners light up the WNBA. Yeah. It was chippy and poorly officiated. Yeah, the officials, it was badly officiated game. Demon home. There, everybody's saying the demon home. Between going rogue and calling out the officials after the game, hopefully we see more of that. Of course, we heard the audio, right? Of course, they're not going to watch film, right? And if they do watch film, it's not going to be of any substance. They're not going to learn anything. They're not going to take away the right lessons. So I'm assuming we're going to the other game. And instead of moving forward, we're like, "Oh, Caitlin Clark, yeah, this is your show. You're going to run it." Nope. Instead, we're going to say, "All right, you, AB, you can be the hub. And then Kelsey Mitchell, we can run through you." And then Caitlin Clark will get tired and be like, "All right, time for me to dominate." I hope that's not the case, but Stephanie White hasn't given me much hope so far. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Like the video, hype the video, and subscribe to the channel. That would mean so much to me. Caitlin Clark calling out the referees. See you next time, and as always.
Now let's talk about what happens next, because this controversy is far from over. Clark is sitting on 5 technical fouls with a large portion of the season still remaining, and she's already made it clear that she has no intention of changing the way she competes. She believes passion is part of her game, and by publicly challenging this technical foul, she's placed the spotlight directly on the WNBA and its officiating standards. The league now faces a difficult decision. It can review the play and decide the technical should not have been issued, a move that would support Clark's argument but also invite questions about the consistency of officiating. It can stand by the decision and publicly defend the officials, knowing that doing so will likely keep this debate alive. Or it can avoid making any public statement and hope the attention eventually fades. Considering how widely these comments have spread, that may be the least likely outcome. But this story is about more than one technical foul. It highlights a much broader conversation surrounding officiating consistency across the league. As the WNBA continues to grow and attract larger audiences, every controversial whistle is now examined from multiple camera angles, debated across television, discussed on podcasts, and broken down frame by frame on social media. What once might have been forgotten after the final buzzer has now become part of a national conversation. Clark understands the position she's in. Every time she steps on the floor, millions of fans are watching. Her games consistently draw the league's biggest television audiences. Arenas fill wherever she plays, and her presence has brought unprecedented attention to the WNBA. Whether people agree with her comments or not, she knows that when she speaks publicly, people listen. That's why her response carried so much weight. Rather than backing away from the situation, she doubled down, making it clear that she's going to continue playing with the same intensity and emotion that has defined her career. From her perspective, changing her style simply to avoid technical fouls isn't the answer. Instead, she's asking for greater consistency in how those calls are made. This also creates additional pressure on officials moving forward. Every fever game involving Clark will now receive even greater scrutiny. Every technical foul, every emotional reaction, and every interaction with referees is likely to be analyzed by fans and media alike. The focus is no longer just on Clark's behavior, it's also on how those situations are handled by the officiating crews. Ultimately, the league now finds itself balancing two priorities: maintaining consistent officiating standards while also managing the increased attention that comes with having one of the biggest stars in women's basketball at the center of every major conversation. However this situation is handled, it will likely shape the discussion around officiating for the rest of the season. So now the question is simple. Was Clark right to publicly challenge the technical foul, or should players avoid criticizing officials by name? Share your thoughts in the comments below and subscribe because this story is far from finished.